Bizarre stories. Today I want to tell you horror, spiritual, and bizarre stories that I have experienced myself. Before, I did not believe in ghosts in this world, but I did after the two stories below. The devil not only exists but also lives with us. Maybe they are near you right now without you even knowing. So don't talk nonsense anytime. I don't know if I will be in trouble at any time. The first story is about my best friend, Layla. That day, on receiving the company's salary, we arranged to go shopping as usual. This is also a very effective stress reliever for us and almost every girl. After buying clothes, we found a nearby cafe to chat, and as we walked, we still didn't forget to discuss the new clothes we just bought. The dress just now suits you well, shows off your fair skin. You have to thank me for choosing such a suitable dress for you. Layla complimented a dress I just bought. I also happily replied, "The things you buy are not bad. They are all hot new models." Suddenly we discovered there was a funeral behind us. Convoys of funeral cars followed by dozens of shiny supercars. This must be some wealthy upper-class family. Just looking at them is enough to know how rich they are. Even the funeral is so grand. Layla saw that and exclaimed, "Wow, it's beautiful. This scene is so beautiful. Even in the movie, it's not as beautiful as this." I frowned and reminded Layla, "Hey, don't talk nonsense. This is a funeral. You shouldn't say that. You keep taking things so seriously. Since when are you so superstitious?" Layla laughed and said, "After the funeral procession passed, I did not want to discuss this issue much, so I ended up with my best friend one sentence. Well, don't say that anyway. It's better to respect the deceased." A few days later, I heard that Layla was sick after that shopping day, so I decided to visit her. As close friends for many years, I have also become a close patron with her family. Layla's mother's sad face is probably because she is too worried about her daughter. I approached her and asked her about her friend's health, because a few days ago, Layla was still shopping with me. "I don't know either. Suddenly Layla is healthy and sick. Come on, let's go in and play with Layla." I called my best friend's name as soon as I opened the door. As soon as I opened the door to the room, there was a terrible stench that made me almost choke. I'm not exaggerating, but this is an extremely unpleasant smell, like the smell of feces. Oh my gosh, it's only been a few days that I haven't seen her. Still, Layla looks completely emaciated, her cheeks sunken, emaciated, and listless. I couldn't help but be surprised and ran to ask what happened to Layla in the end. Layla said she didn't know what illness she had, but she vomited every time she ate it. She went to the hospital for a checkup, but the doctor still couldn't find the cause. Before finishing her sentence, Layla covered her mouth with her hand and looked down as if she was looking for something. It turned out that the potty was under the bed. Layla had to keep it there so that when she was nauseous, she vomited into it. She vomited miserably. That unpleasant stench is so strong and sour that I can't stand it. Looking at the potty at the foot of the bed, I knew she'd been vomiting all day. After vomiting, Layla shyly said to me, "I'm sorry, I can't help but vomit like that. I'm afraid you here will catch the disease from me." I look at my best friend looking miserable and tired. After talking to me for a bit, she vomited 2 or 3 times. I was afraid of affecting her rest, so I didn't stay there for long but left soon. When I went out, I suddenly remembered that we were shopping and met the funeral procession that day. I quickly talked about this with Layla's mother. I don't know if this is really related to Layla's illness or not. I told the story to Layla's mother, including Layla's attitude and words that day. For some reason, I feel like these two things are related. After listening, Layla's mother was also worried and had the same thoughts as me. She said, "Oh, if it's true what you said, I have to go find a fortune teller to consider this. Spiritual matters are no joke. Then when she went to the hospital, Layla's mother also invited a very famous master. That funeral was a funeral that left an impression on many people. Even this master knew about the funeral that day. He confirmed my guess was correct. The master said that the funeral belonged to the mother of Roland company owner. She passed away from stomach cancer. I have seen feng shui for their family several times, so I know," said the master. The master also told of the person's pre-death symptoms, which were identical to those of Layla. For the last few days, she couldn't eat or drink, vomited incessantly, vomiting all green liquids that smelled terrible. The story made us very scared and worried, but in the end, fortunately, there was a master who had a way to solve the problem, save my best friend. The second story that I want to tell you is related to the elevator of the company building where I work. Our company is on the 18th floor. Due to limited facilities here, transportation is not very convenient, so a building built has not been able to rent out all the rooms. Many floors are empty. That afternoon, my colleague named Emma and I went out to have lunch. After having lunch, we went back to the office. Because it was late, so the elevator was not crowded. Usually, the elevator also works continuously because people go up and down a lot. My colleague and I entered the elevator and pressed the number 18. While waiting for the elevator to go up, we started chatting. Next time we move to another restaurant, don't eat this restaurant anymore. The food is not good at all. That's right, I feel the same way. Suddenly the elevator stopped on the 14th floor. According to my impression and understanding, there is no company on the 14th floor. This is an empty floor, but I often see the phenomenon of the elevator stopping at the 14th floor. I thought it was a problem with the elevators, but this happens all too often. A man dressed as a worker entered the elevator. We were silent, but I felt that there was an unpleasant smell in the elevator. I guess it must be this worker's body odor. He stood right behind me, his hat pulled up close to half of his face, no light shining in. The man's face became so dark that I couldn't see his face clearly. After a while, I didn't know what happened, but I clearly felt that he was slowly leaning against me. I uneasily thought this could be a pervert. I remained silent and crouched close to my colleague to avoid the man. The colleague saw me standing close to her and asked if I was feeling well. The man in the elevator kept pressing close to me, making me cling to my colleague even more. I pushed her harder and harder against the wall. She was surprised, as if she didn't understand what happened, kept asking me, "What are you doing? Why are you pushing me against the wall?" I was about to explain, but fortunately, the elevator reached the 18th floor and opened the door. I quickly pulled my colleague out of the elevator, to her surprise, confusion, and slight annoyance. I turned around. Fortunately, he was still in the elevator and didn't come out after us. It wasn't until the elevator closed completely that I felt more relieved. My coworker felt that something was wrong with me, so she asked, "Hey, what happened to you? Why are you doing that in the elevator?" Because the man just now standing behind me is a pervert, he purposely leaned on me. I told the truth. Which man was in the elevator? I didn't see it, replied my colleague. I started to think that she was joking with me. Come on, let's talk seriously. That person who just took the elevator with us. I later found out she wasn't joking. She actually didn't see anyone in the elevator. I'm not kidding. I really didn't see anyone in the elevator. Are you the one joking? Oh really? Don't scare me. I thought back to that scene. Back at the company, she told the other coworkers what happened. We both told the truth. David, a guy who worked here before us a few years ago, told us something related to the 14th floor that we didn't know. You guys just came here to do a lot of things you don't know yet. Then David told us about the rumor that there was a ghost on the 14th floor. A few years ago, the 14th floor was renovated and ready for tenants. But an electrical repair worker had an unfortunate accident. He was electrocuted and died on the spot. After that, rumors that the 14th floor was haunted spread throughout the building. The elevator often stops at the 14th floor, but no one enters. There are people like me who have seen that worker. David's words gave me goosebumps. I hope this is just a story he made up to scare and tease us. I was worried and asked David again. It's not a joke. You're trying to scare me, so you said that, right? If you don't believe it, you can ask others, David replied in a firm tone. Since then, I have never dared to ride the elevator alone again, whether the rumor is true or false. I'm obsessed. I don't want to see two stories like these again, really very scary.